There's apparently a new indie game called Fly Night, and if you're interested in either Dark Souls or RuneScape, it looks very fun. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I am Uncle Frank, and I hope that you are having a great day. In today's video, I wanted to sit down, have a chat about Rarity. In particular, I wanted to talk about a specific set of cards from one of my favorite games, Flesh and Blood, and my kind of opinions on them, not only in relation to how they are currently doing on the secondary market, but how I feel towards them as both collectibles and as game pieces. So, with that said, let's talk about the Fableds. In the Flesh and Blood TCG, Fableds are kind of the highest rarity in a given set, with like one exception, a history pack. Pretty much every set has a Fabled, and with one other exception, Command and Conquer, every Fabled is rather unique in terms of its print availability. Command and Conquer was previously a Majestic in Arcane Rising and History Pack, and it later received a Fabled printing in Dynasty, I believe. But the other 14 Fabled cards have never had other printings, and they have all been unique to the sets that they debuted in. And some of these Fabled cards are among the strongest cards in the game, and some of them are among the cards that I feel have the most potential in the game. And when I say that they have potential, I'm not just speaking from a gameplay perspective, because while it's true that Grandeur of Valahai or Blood of the Drakai don't exactly see a lot of competitive play right now, and that it's possible that they could become more useful in the future with the introduction of new heroes, I'm also referring to them as collectibles, and specifically, I'm referring to the fact that they kind of scratch that sweet spot for me of being truly rare collectibles for a very good TCG. Now, when I say that they are truly rare, what I mean is that Flesh and Blood's Fabled cards aren't like a lot of other rare cards that you see on the market. You see, for a lot of collectors, investors, and players, it's generally agreed upon that rarity is desirable in your collection, especially if it's a collection you plan on having for a long time. And there's this almost buzzword that goes around the collectibles market known as artificial scarcity. And artificial scarcity is different, in my opinion, from true rarity. And here's how. You see, a truly rare card is a byproduct of its print cycle. It is going to be rare in relation to its overall set. So let's say that there's a card that only pops up in 1 out of 1,000 packs. If that card is only in 1 of 1,000 packs, then it doesn't matter how many print waves of that set there are, that card will still remain, relative to the rest of the set, extremely rare. For most collectibles, this is how rare cards are done. And for most of the history of TCGs, this is where a lot of the highly sought after cards of the past have come from. Cards that were always rare just in relationship to the rest of the set. Whether it's Magic with cards like Dual Lands or really powerful artifacts, Sliver Queen, things like that. Whether it's in Yu-Gi-Oh! With certain early secret rares like Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is always a highly desirable card. Pokemon with its rarer cards like Charizard. The genuinely rare cards pop up as a product of the print run. Artificial scarcity and what I like to call false rares, meanwhile, are kind of forced into rarity through one of two methods. Either they are only available for a limited time, regardless of the size of the print run, or they are given an artificially small uh, kind of availability, regardless of the print run. The first one is easier to see out in the wild. It's whenever there's a limited edition product that's only available for a day or two on whatever website for whatever collectible, be it card game, video games, etc. If it's only available for a day or so, or not just a day, but a week, a month, whatever, what have you, then it is artificially scarce because it was only available for a small window. Secret layers, for instance, fall into this category of being kind of only sort of rare in the fact that they were designed to be rare. The other example, on the best example I can give of this kind of rarity, is things like serialized cards, for instance, where there is only so many of them ever put into production, and they aren't cards that would be desired otherwise. It's just because they're so rare, people are willing to put a premium on them in theory, just because there's only 300, 400, 1,000 copies of this numbered card in existence. Now, for myself and for a lot of other collectors on the market, when you see an artificially scarce card, you tend to eye it with more scrutiny. Okay? And the reason is, when a card is artificially scarce, you get the impression that the company behind it didn't have a whole lot of faith in that overall product. After all, if the box is good, then there's really no reason to try to pad the numbers by creating hype with things like serialized cards. And meanwhile, the genuinely rare cards tend to be actually attractive to people like me. And where I'm getting at with this whole rarity versus false rarity spiel is that the Fabled cards of Flesh and Blood are, in my opinion, some of the best examples of genuinely rare cards that I certainly think are undervalued and under-desired right now. And I'm not referring to the Fab 1.0 Fables. Those are all crazy, crazy desired. Every one of those is a wonderful piece. But a lot of the Fab 2.0 Fables, especially the gems, I feel, are just a tad bit undervalued. If you head to TCG Player right now, you'll find that most of the new Fabled cards are available for under $100. And that is absolutely wild to me. You see, this is a subset of cards that is unlikely to be reprinted. I don't think that they'll never be reprinted. I don't think that it's completely off the table, but it's unlikely that they'll be reprinted in the near future. And when you take that into account, combined with the fact that some of them might have future play use, considering that Flesh and Blood is a constantly expanding game with a growing player base, a growing list of heroes, and you start to understand that some of these gems or some of these landmarks that don't really see a lot of play now might have some utility in the future. I mean, look at Blood of the Drakai, a card that I am super in love with. I really like the art. I just think it looks absolutely beautiful. It doesn't see a lot of play, but I genuinely believe that it's only a matter of time before a draconic hero comes out who can make use of it. And when that happens, everyone who's playing that hero is going to want Blood of the Drakai. And I think that is going to happen for a lot of the Fables, at least for the gems in the near future. I'm not entirely sure how playable the landmarks really are. Some of them look pretty good. I really like the arena. I think everybody really likes the arena. But still, when you take into account the fact that they are very rare, they do have potential for future utility, and they're all kind of cheap. I don't know. I feel like they're all kind of undervalued. And I'm not sure what a satisfying value would be for them, but for me personally, I think it's absolutely insane that Blood of the Drakai is not a $300 card. It's fairly rare. It's got a beautiful foiling on it. And Draconic is a pretty popular hero type, or I suppose talent? Talent, I believe, is the real term for it. Grandeur of Valahai was another one that I think is just way too cheap. It's $80 or so for its cold foil printing, and this thing, in addition to giving you 3 resources, also makes a seismic surge token. Sooner or later, that's gonna be a really strong card in some crazy Guardian. I feel like a lot of people came to this same conclusion in regards to legendary rarity cards earlier this year. You're starting to see more of them vanish off of the secondary market as more and more people are banking on either their future playability or their future growth in price. But in my opinion, that should start happening to these Fabled cards. I mean, just these are some of Flesh and Blood's rarest and most beautiful cards, and some of them have really nice utility. And obviously, this video is not financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube rambling about some of his favorite cards in one of his favorite card games. But I do genuinely believe that the Fableds are underappreciated, and I think that they might be undervalued for how genuinely rare they are. So, I don't know. Maybe you're somebody who knows more about Flesh and Blood and you think Uncle Frank is a quack. What's your opinion on the Fableds, the Gemstones, and the Landmarks? I don't want to hear about Command and Conquer. I know that it's technically a Majestic, so that one doesn't count. But for the rest of them, what do you guys think? Do let me know in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed this little ramble discussion, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share these videos with friends, and remember, for every like this video gets, I will be doing a push-up in the next one, because your uncle needs to get healthy. I'll see you kids later. My last video got 31 likes. Whew, that's 31.